And that is it, full-time, 1-1, an absolute cracker of a game. Wales versus USA, an absolute cracker. Probably my game of the tournament, if I'm throwing my England bias away. An absolute cracker. So much to discuss, and potentially two angles to look at this game. Maybe you could look at it after that first half, US kind of bottled a great lead and threw away a great lead. And even you can then, on the flip side, look at the fact that Wales arguably could have won that game with some of the chances they had in that second half. So we're going to discuss both sides of this coin. I'm going to start off and discuss who I thought were the standout players in this game. And I thought Timothy Weah was absolutely unreal. I thought he was so good down that right-hand side. And I thought he was everything that was good about US in that first half especially. They came out the blocks flying. And don't get me wrong, Wales were awful in that first half. Let's be honest. I think all Wales fans will completely agree with that. They just looked leggy. They looked like they were really off it. I don't know if it was formation wise and position and players wise, just personnel. There was something not on. There was something not right. And that decision to bring on Kiefer Moore, by the way, was absolutely huge. We'll get into that in a minute. But we'll talk about this Wales start. They came out the blocks absolutely flying, playing the ball around, high intensity, high press, and they were putting pressure straight onto players like Joe Rodon, Ben Davis, Chris Mepham in that first half. Really struggled. We'll talk about possession wise. In that first half, 67% possession for US. It shows you the dominance they had in that first half. Three shots, one on target, and Wales had no shots in that first half. And I heard John Hartson say it at half-time, and my personal opinion as well, it couldn't get any worse. And the only thing I felt for US is the fact that they hadn't got that second goal, because they hadn't got that cushion, because we all knew Wales, we know what their side is like. They're resilient. They grind out results. They're not a nice team to play against because they have got that determination. And we knew they were going to come out in that second half, and they did. And they came out flying. And it just showed you that, when we compare it to the second half, so we're talking about 67% possession for US in that first half. In the second half, 50-50, and they had 3 shots. Bearing in mind, they had no shots in the first half on target. And then we talk about US in the second half, had 0 shots on target. It just shows you, when we say, and I know it's a cliche, it's a game of two halves, this really was. But I do want to say one thing. That game should have been over at halftime. They really should have taken their chances. And full credit to Wales for the resilience they've shown in that second half to come back into it. And another thing I want to discuss actually as well in that first half, Weston McKennie should have been sent off. Not arguably, and there was a few decisions where I just thought, what was going on? Dest as well. It was a challenge very early on. I think it was on Nico Williams. Probably in the first 5-10 minutes. He was about 10 minutes late. The challenge comes in, just a yellow card. It's bizarre. The officiating in this game for me was completely off. Really, really poor display from the referee. And then I want to talk about Wales in this second half. Daniel James, I thought it just didn't work for him. He just wasn't having a great day at the office. We can look at his stats. He had 15 touches of the ball, and he was dispossessed 6 times. It's not good enough, is it? And you could see every time they tried to use him as an out ball, I understand what the idea of it was, to get him to run down the channels with his pace and things, but nothing was sticking to him. So they changed it and brought on Kiefer Moore. You know exactly what you're going to get Kiefer Moore. He's 6'5". He's going to hold the ball up, and he's very good on the ball. And that's exactly what he did. And every time they held the ball up, when they clipped it up to him, he allowed them players to get up and push up the field and get around him. I think that was the biggest thing for Wales in that second half, because all it was something simple. He held onto the ball 2-3 seconds, held his man off, simple arm in the back. And then next thing you know, the whole team is just pushed right up the field, and it puts more pressure on the US side. And we saw it. US could not deal with that in the second half, and they didn't know what to do with it. Tim Ream tried to go on in, then Zimmerman did, and he was just operating, and they allowed BALE more space. And yeah, it just really worked. I thought that decision to bring on Kiefer Moore, because I think everyone could see that something had to change. There had to be a decision. A decision had to be made. Someone had to be taken off, because it just wasn't working for Wales. But don't get me wrong, a brilliant second half performance. Another thing I want to talk about in US, we'll go back into that first half. I thought Pulisic was absolutely integral to everything that was good about US today. I thought he was great. And he had Chris Mepham on. Chris Mepham, again, we're talking about officiating. There's an argument that Chris Mepham could have been sent off, because a couple of times he was pulling him back, tackling him, and kept giving him warnings and warnings and warnings. I thought Pulisic was really good. I thought, as I said, Timothy Weah was really good. Tyler Adams, by the way, absolutely class. And I think this is where one thing, when we talk about tactics-wise, and we discuss the first and the second half. In that first half, no one was getting around Tyler Adams, and he was given free reins, and he literally was getting the ball and just passing it around everywhere. 84 touches he had, which is just ridiculous. You could see everything was coming through him, and he was just taking the ball, and there was no one around him, because BALE and Dan James were occupying the 2 centre-backs. Harry Wilson, Ampadu, and Aaron Ramsey just couldn't get anywhere near him. They were all around him, but they weren't close enough to him, so one touch, passed it on, and next thing you know, it's 3-on-3, And that's where I thought the big problems came. And then especially when you got Dest and Anthony Robertson, who were both bombing on down those wings, it all came through Tyler Adams. But then in that second half, Ethan Ampadu, Harry Wilson, Aaron Ramsey got in and around him, didn't allow him that space, and it cut off US. I thought that was the biggest thing. I thought the fact that Tyler Adams was then, he wasn't allowed the space and things. And then another thing I want to talk about as well is US, the substitutions they made. You can see the quality isn't anywhere near as good. Whereas you look at Wales's substitutions, I thought Brennan Johnson was good when he came on. I said Kiefer Moore I thought was really good. They've got the likes of Sorba Thomas, players like that they can bring on. I think it just shows you the golfing class as squads wise, because I thought Wales squad, it showed you that they can bring on good players. But overall I thought Wales a great second half performance, and that's all I can say. And it is bizarre when you look at it from two halves of football. US in that first half really should have won that game. And then in the second half, Wales should have arguably won that game. So I think overall, both sides won't be happy with the draw, but it is a fair result at the end of the day. I think out the two sides, I don't actually know. The more I try and think about it, I was going to try and spin it and say Wales would be happy out the two. But then, as I said, there was big chances for Wales. I thought penalty was definitely a penalty. A really good touch from Gareth Bale, the way he takes it and swivels as he's done it. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's seen Tim Ream, by the way, who was having a good game up to that. I thought he had a really good game up to that. It was just such a late challenge. It was just a really stupid one. You could just see, as soon as the challenge went in, you knew exactly what he was going to do, and he didn't give the referee any decision. Gareth Bale, you knew he was going to score, let's be honest. We all knew it. He's a big game player. He's got hat-tricks in Champions League finals. He's bagged goals in huge games, Copa del Rey finals. He's a goal scorer, and we've seen him in America scoring goals in big games. So we knew he was going to put it away. Matt Turner potentially could have done a little bit better with it. He did get a hand to it. I know a lot of people can say there was power, but if a keeper gets a hand to a penalty, for me, they should be doing more with it. He should be saving it because he's read it. I don't know. I might be being harsh, but overall, I thought it was a good performance from both sides, and there's the positives they can both take from this. And I think from an England perspective, I think this is probably the best result for us. And from Wales and US, it's not drop points, so that at least they've got a point. And I think watching these two, both of these sides should walk and breeze past Iran. I thought both of these sides played some really nice football. US, especially in that first half, playing really nicely through the thirds through, and they were playing really. It was not long ball, and that was the thing I really liked how direct it was. And then Wales, you know exactly what they're going to do. Get those fullbacks. They're basically, you said they're fullbacks, they're wingbacks. They're pretty much wingers with how far on they get on, and they just pile it in, whip those crosses in. You know exactly what they're going to do and hurt you. And I think they're going to do well. And both of these sides, you can see either of these two going through. Let me know who you thought your man of the match was. My man of the match, I'm going to go for Timothy Weah. Or I really thought Harry Wilson had a good game. I thought he kind of really broke up the play really nicely. And you look at the 5 ground duels won, 2 aerial duels won. And you could just see exactly 3 clearances, 3 tackles, 1 interception. He was just part of that grit and determination. He also made 2 key passes. I really liked him. So, Timothy Weah and Harry Wilson. And shout out to Ampadu because of the determination he showed in that game as well. Shout out to him. But let me know, as I said, and please do smash the like button and do subscribe. Let me know, did Wales miss out on a big opportunity, or have US missed out on an opportunity? Is it a fair result? Let me know. But thank you for watching. Bucket Sam over and out. Don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe for more World Cup content. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.